Welcome. How's everybody doing today? My name is Ron Tucker. Welcome to my show. It's called At Ron's Talking. I appreciate anybody who's taking a look at my show. And please don't forget to subscribe. Throw me a few likes if you need to, or some dislikes if you want to. It's America, a free country. Let's get down to the nitty gritty right now. And I got a lot of stuff on my head, a lot of stuff on my mind. Constantly, every day, it just runs like that because things are happening leading up to this election. Things are getting real tense. I think that former President Trump really is unraveling right before our eyes. A lot of his supporters, they're not going to admit that. Trump definitely not going to admit it because he knows it's too much at stake, especially his own freedom. But nevertheless, the things that we see from this former president is just mind-boggling. And the difference between Vice President Harris and Donald Trump couldn't be more stark. It's very startling. It's almost inconceivable that an individual like Donald Trump could still be in a position to not win the presidency, but even challenge for it. This man has gotten away with everything and anything imaginable to our country when it comes to a presidential candidate. His lies are world renowned, well documented. And when you look at the totality of this man's history, I'm only going to just narrow down and keep it right to the political spectrum. It's insane. It is just completely insane how anybody with half a brain could even fathom supporting, let alone voting for this guy. There's so much, I guess, how should I put this? At every twist and turn, when everybody is talking about what Trump has done now, what he's done before, what he's going to do next, it's like a bizarro world. Well, we're in just two different spheres, two different categories. You got one guy who happens to be Donald Trump, who attacks people all over the place. He's a convicted felon. We know this. He's been convicted of sexual battery. We know this. The man has taken our secret documents to his home in Mar-a-Lago. We know this. The legal system has worked in large to his benefit. Speaking of Judge Cannon down in Florida, who just summarily dismissed his case, which we all knew she was going to do that eventually. It was all playing out right in front of our eyes, and some people like myself already knew where it was going, where it was heading. It was on that trajectory from the beginning. So, the man does nothing but embarrass and soil and sully the reputation of our political structure. He attacks his critics. Sometimes he even attacks his supporters who used to support him because they don't support him anymore. So he's the kind of person that if you're not with him, obviously you're against him, so you become his enemy. He embodies everything that so-called patriots of this country despise. But when it comes to him, gets a free pass. He can say anything get away with it for the most part. And when he knows and his supporters know that he's wrong as somebody wearing two left shoes, it's all right for him. See, he don't have to answer questions when he's being posed to them at interviews or whatnot. When he debated Kamala Harris, he didn't answer the questions that he was posed. But he cried and complained when he tried to lie and he got fact checked. If you don't want to get fact checked, don't tell lies. It's not that complicated. He calls himself a stable genius. I don't understand why he can't figure that out. But a con artist like him, he has to lie about things and fabricate things because he has no other way of expressing himself. He doesn't have any kind of relationship with the truth because the truth won't set him free. The truth will end up locking him up. And when you look at what him and J.D. Vance did to that city in Ohio, Springfield, it's old news right now. But when you think about it, if you're thinking from a rational standpoint, what he and J.D. Vance and other people have jumped on and just taken that lie and just ran with it, it's not only unforgivable, it's unforgettable to me because I cannot understand how anybody, those people like him and his running mate, I don't understand how warped their minds have to be, their conscience, their hearts. It's just mind-boggling to think that people can be that low down and dirty. But in this world today, I guess that's par for the course. It's normal for them. They don't care. Anything goes, anything works. If they can just throw something up against the wall and without any regard to the validity or the veracity of it or the truth, they gives a damn. It's just it's all out war, I guess, to them. You know, and that's the price that they're willing to pay just to try to secure votes to win an election. And we've sunk that far. Not we per se, but people like them. Because their moral compass is busted and they know there's a lot of people who think and feel just like them. So the racism comes out. In America, so many people have spent almost all their lives trying to suppress the truth about our country and its racial history. And they do somersaults, backflips, and they twist themselves into pretzels, suppressing education in the schools, don't want kids to learn anything about our history except what they want them to know. And they would turn anything into something that can be labeled as a talking point for them, such as this term wokeness and critical race theory and then DEI and, you know, anything they can do to suppress democracy and keep people in the dark. That's why they're always going to talk about being woke. Well, if you're not awoke, you sleep. And that's where they hope that most Americans stay, in a state of sleep. Because, like they always say, don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. So they want Americans to stay asleep at the wheel while they tiptoe right past them with their nefarious plans and schemes. And that head schemer, that head rat, the one that's always calling people vermin, well, you know, he's always obfuscating and always projecting the things he's about and what he is on other people. And we see it all the time with Donald Trump. If he calls somebody a vermin, that's because he's one. If he calls somebody a liar, you know, obviously he's talking about himself. That's just the way he operates, and the rest of his cabal, they follow suit. Trump is becoming more unhinged, and I've told people this for the last few years, especially my relatives, that the longer each day goes by, and the longer it takes for this election to culminate, he's going to become even worse than he is presently right now. And right now, he's a mess. He's a mess. He shows it all the time because he's always attacking somebody, specifically Kamala Harris. And one of the things that gets me is the way that they always keep talking about her policies and things that she's done have failed, and she's had 3 years to do this. She's had 4 years to do that. First of all, she's not the president. I don't know what policies they talking about that she enacted or she's put into play. But last time I checked, Joe Biden's still the president and she's still the vice president. Understand that she's the target now because she's the presidential nominee as the torch was handed over to her from Joe Biden. But they want to attack her, which you're free to attack your opponents, but it's so disingenuous for them to keep on acting like she put all these policies into play that Joe Biden has done. It's Kamala's policies on everything and anything. Now, she's a big girl. She's been handling her business every day. They see it. As recently as this little meeting she had, this interview with Fox's Brett Baier. Well, Kamala is the real deal, folks. She's been holding her own, handling her own, and she doesn't give a quarter. She ain't cutting no slack. But it's interesting how, like I said, they want to always try to act like, well, she's had 3 years or almost 4 years to do this. That. Well, old Captain Bone Spurs had 4 years when he was president to do all the things that he cries and talks about he's going to do now. See, he lost the presidency because of his incompetence, among many things. Of course, starting with COVID. Well, maybe not even starting with COVID, but COVID was interspersed in all the screw-ups and foul-ups that he committed as calling himself commander-in-chief, or should I call the crook-in-chief. Donald Trump had 4 years to do a number of things that he didn't accomplish. But now, when he's on the precipice of eventually, possibly, most likely, losing his freedom, if he doesn't win this election, he knows what he's facing. And so, all the things that he failed to accomplish, now he wants to do over, of course. Because it's more important and it's serious, and he knows it's imperative that he wins, because if he doesn't, he's going to most likely lose everything. So, of course, he's going to pull out all stops along with his supporters from all over the place. They're going to try to rig the election by trying to steal votes. They don't want to certify votes. They don't want votes to be counted. All this kind of stuff. And at the same time, they try to blame it on the left. And of course, they are already setting up the narrative that if Trump doesn't win, they've already indicated that it's going to be called a rigged election and it's been stolen again. So they can gin up some more support for another insurrection somewhere. But he never is held accountable for the 4 years of incompetence and ineptitude that he displayed when he was commander-in-chief. Kamala Harris ain't never been president. He has. And if he was such a great leader, why didn't he get reelected in 2020? Those are the things that Trump supporters do not want to face. They want to cover it up. They want to lie about it. They want to say, all these different types of reasons why he ain't in office anymore. And the only person that indicated that Trump lost the election, well, put it like this. Trump is the only one that kept saying he won. Since he said he won, him, no one else, he started to lie. And so because Trump said it, it had to be real. It had to be the truth, according to his supporters. That's all they know is what Trump says. So when he started the big lie, look at where we're at today. And it's only going to get worse. Because if he loses again, can you imagine how that lie is going to even become more magnified after 2024? And his supporters, they ain't going to know what to do with themselves. They're going to be looking around for somebody to hurt or threaten and all this kind of stuff. Because they refuse to believe that he cannot lose an election. And he kept talking about, he was saying the other day that he peacefully transferred power. That's a lie. If anybody looks back at when he lost, the Trump team, the transition team, if you will, they never turned over everything. They never met with the Biden team in good faith. It took them months before everything was finally removed and moved over to the Biden team. Just go back and look at the history on it, because we tend to forget things, obviously, because our memories are never going to be as sharp as they were, let's say, 3 years ago. We're all getting older. We're all getting old. And a lot of stuff that we've gone through since Trump has been in the picture, people have tried to suppress it. That's only psychological. I get that. It was a nightmare. And we've lived through this nightmare for almost 9 years. Trump is just like Freddy Krueger. He just keeps on showing up. He's a nightmare on everybody's street, every day and every year. When are we going to get rid of this demon, this ghost? Because he just refuses to leave the picture. Hopefully, when he loses, we can finally put his butt to rest. Because he has been an abject disgrace to our country. Full stop. Okay. Oh, had to get some of that off my chest, because that ain't all of it, but I figure for the sake of time, I better lighten up a little bit and look at a few other things as well. But he's still in the picture of my conversation. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I look back a little bit on certain things, and I was checking out Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia. And he claimed he was still supporting the man who tried to extort votes from his Secretary of State in 2020, Mr. Raffensperger. And Kemp now considers this as a business decision for supporting Trump. Now, what kind of business decision is this? To me, it's monkey business. Because, Kemp, he crooked his way to the governorship in Georgia after he defeated Stacey Abrams. And she was vastly more qualified than him. But she had that one disqualifier, in the state of Georgia, which it doesn't take much to disqualify a black person in Georgia from a position of leadership. It's the fact that she's black. And Kemp, he's just as gutless as the majority of Republicans. He was frightened because of the possible death threats from Trump, MAGA people, his sycophants. And that's how most of the Republicans are. We all know this. They will not, and they refuse to take a moral stand and a conscientious stand on principle and do the right thing, because they don't want those MAGA people coming after them and threatening their family and the death threats and all that. Understand, from a personal perspective and just a common sense perspective. I get that, but sometimes you got to stand up for what you know is right. And there's a few who did. They lost a little bit of something. Kissinger, Cheney, a few others, but they would not compromise their character and their morals and their belief in, making sure that they put the country over their party. But they're few and far in between. Um, there was a Republican congressional candidate who ran in a predominantly black district in Michigan. Uh, he ran an ad in a black-owned publication called the Michigan Bulletin, and what it read was that on November the 6th, vote for Tom Barrett. Now, Tom Barrett is the Republican congressional candidate I'm speaking of, and this man was, I guess he tried to, run a game on black folks in Michigan. I guess he thinks that they're kind of slow, so he's gonna tell them to vote on November the 6th. Then his campaign, they did a retraction talking about, that was just due to a proof error. Really? So and then they ran a couple of retraction articles restating that, well, trying to cover up the fact that, we made a mistake. Here's the corrected dates. Since y'all don't know how to read or understand or comprehend nothing, it's really November the 5th. Okay, just to make sure you black folks know, if y'all can read, it's really November the 5th. But if you vote on November the 6th, we won't be mad either. Okay. It's amazing what you Republicans will stoop to. Ain't nothing surprising though. It just makes you scratch your head, like you wonder, why do they keep on insisting that blacks, they just, forget it. Good old Geraldo Rivera. He was a former Trump supporter and apologist way back. Now he claims that Trump was a pretty good president, but committed some unforgivable actions. I wonder what some of those were, Geraldo. Boy, I tell you. Geraldo was always on Fox, trying his best to support Trump, and it's almost like trying to hold up a building on your shoulders. It ain't gonna work. The weight's too heavy. It's impossible. But people like him, they tried. Now he left Fox, so now he's ready to open up and tell the truth about how he feels about Trump. But he still wants to, they always want to leave that little sliver of feelings of goodwill towards Trump, make sure they don't divest themselves totally, completely from MAGA. Trump, he wasn't, not in Geraldo's case, he felt like Trump did a good job. But then some of them will say, well, I don't really agree with some of the things he says, read some of his policies. However, he did some good things, but when you press him on what he did was good, then they start, can we talk about something else? Yeah. Anyway, up to today, when I was talking about Kamala Harris's interview on Fox, to me, from little snippets I saw of it, she put old Brett Baier on full blast. And it was about Trump calling America the enemy from within. And then, of course, old Brett Baier, the Fox host, he tried his best to put the VP in a bind with his questioning tactics. You know, it wholly slanted towards protecting the Donald. Now, Brett Baer, excuse me, he is going to ask Kamala, well, with half of the people in this country supporting this man that you claim is a danger to our country and all this, if he's that bad, how come so many people supporting him? Are they crazy or are they stupid and everything? That's when she cut him off. She said, I'm not, I've never called these people stupid, and I don't even try that one. But Kamala, she wasn't phased or fooled by what Brad was trying to do, and so she let him know what time it was. So she let him have it. She said, hey, he's the one that's always running around attacking people, calling the American people the enemy from within. If you don't vote for him, now he's going to go after you. He feel like he should lock you up if you don't pledge allegiance and pledge fealty to him. And I'm just paraphrasing, but that's kind of how she came back at Bear, and she came at him forcefully to let him know, wait a minute, I don't know who you think you talking to tonight, but you didn't even show the clip that we talking about what he said a few days ago, talking about getting back at his enemies and calling the American people the enemy from within and all this kind of stuff. His rhetoric is what you didn't want to show, but then you want to show a little clip about how he was trying to defend himself, acting like he ain't said none of that, like he always does. And see, that's when she had him. That's when she had old Brett Baer. See, he tried to be slick, and she busted him. And he's staring at her with his mouth open, trying to overtalk her, but she wasn't having none of it tonight. And of course, I saw some of the comments from some of these commentators and also people who were commenting on social media, especially the right-wing faction. They were talking about Kamala. She disgraced herself. She didn't answer none of the questions. She refused to answer questions. She was evading and dodging the questions. These people seem like they forgot what the liar in chief, Donald Trump, did the other night when at his so-called town hall meeting with Kristi Noem, the dog killer. He didn't want to answer any more questions or take any more questions, so he decided to bail out and start playing classical music to the group, to the crowd, where two people had already fainted already, probably from listening to his rhetoric and his bullshit for probably a couple hours. They had about 40 minutes to go, and I guess all that mindless drivel almost made them lose their minds, so they passed out. Actually, it was they said it was the heat in the facility that all those people were packed in. It was too damn hot, but Trump, being the cheapskate he is, he probably didn't want the AC to be turned on. He tells the people, well, what's the sense of us talking about questions and having questions being posed, and no more questions. Let's play some music, y'all. Let's just have us a little party. So he told his people, his sound people, to play Ave Maria, which not really in my wheelhouse as far as classical music pieces that I'm familiar with. He went from playing that at full blast to Pavarotti. And I looked over at, well, first I looked at Kristi Noem, and she's standing there transfixed, like she didn't know what to do, which she didn't. She was standing there looking stupid. And so when Trump exhorted the crowd to listen to what his musical selection is all about, of course, they all clapping like a bunch of seals, and, you know, yeah, Trump, anything you say, Mr. Trump, we down for whatever you talking about. There was a lady sitting right next to Trump, near his leg, while he was standing there, and the woman was sitting there with her daughter. The woman rolled her eyes up in her head when Trump had him playing that old crazy music, and then the daughter, she was falling asleep, and then they wonder why people fainted. And then he's so crass and crude that instead of being empathetic about those people that passed out, he gonna ask the crowd, does anybody else want to pass out or faint? I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This man is totally oblivious to just basic concern, basic class, and consideration of others, and he just clueless. He just worried about putting on a performance, and it's always a display of buffoonery. This man doesn't want to field any questions, so like I said, he wants to just start playing music for damn near 40 minutes. And he's going to try to start breakdancing. He couldn't do nothing but move his elbows and his wrists. And he got these people talking about, no one's leaving. No one's going to leave. I guess not, because, you got all of your disciples. Hell, they're being held hostage by you, basically, because they too stupid and dumb and scared and worried to leave. Now, some people probably left, but Trump's people are not going to pay in that room while people are probably heading for the exits. That ain't going to be a good look. So, of course, they're going to keep everything up near the stage and keep everything focused on him and Governor Noam. But instead of her having her raggedy behind back in her home state, screwing that place up in South Dakota, she's there in Pennsylvania campaigning for Trump. Well, basically campaigning for a cabinet position. These Trump people, his supporters, they want to talk about what Kamala Harris won't do. She won't answer questions. But over there, with him, it doesn't matter what he does, because it's all good for them. As long as that clown obfuscates, runs, hides, and he ain't trying to, if you ask him a question, he's going to dance around it and take you somewhere else in another hemisphere, and he's going to talk until you're dizzy about nothing. But he's a good leader. Yeah, he's a good leader. Anyway, and excuse my sniffles, folks. I don't know what's going on with my nasal situation, but bear with me. It is just amazing how he can just get away with everything that the other side accuses Kamala Harris. Oh, she hasn't done enough interviews. He won't go to none, except those little the ones that they just set up for him yesterday with Harris Faulkner, and it's what was it? Yeah, this all women's town hall. Now, this town hall was specifically geared and set up for the convicted sexual abuser and engineer the push to end Roe v. Wade, but this was his attempt, or their attempt, to put him in a better light when it comes to women. And it was their feeble attempt to repair his shitty image when it comes to his treatment of women over the years. Now, what they had, as usual, the fakest black woman TV host ever, handling things, Miss Harris Faulkner, true Oreo, and a Fox firefighter, when she was just there to throw Dumb Donald the obligatory softball questions like she always does when she's interviewing Trump. So Dumb won't look as stupid tonight as he has looked all week, and she never disappoints Trump or the MAGA base with her line of questioning. And now Trump and Fox had a packed house, but what Fox didn't want people to know was that the house was full of hand-picked GOP women groups that they put together, which was totally pro-Trump. And see, CNN had somebody inside the joint, and they claimed that the Fox broadcast team edited out portions of the questions when the speakers identified themselves as Trump supporters. They didn't want people to see the obvious. But they would go to any lengths to try to protect his ass and give the impression. Now, how in the hell can anybody think that Donald Trump is, as he calls it, he's the protector of women? Really? Is that right? That's why you want to call a woman, Kamala Harris, dumb, retarded, and stupid, and all this kind of stuff. And it just shows that you're afraid of her, just like she says. You're weak. You know, you support Putin and the rest of the dictators that you wish you were like, because that's your ultimate goal and dream in life, is to just be imperial and just wave your hand and dismiss anybody that defies you and throw them in jail. That's Trump's ultimate dream that would just satisfy him to no end. I don't even think he'd be able to handle it if they elected him to office again so he could try to become a dictator. Really, all Trump wants to do is just do another do-over and try to accomplish what he didn't get accomplished the first time he made his last run. Because Trump is only in it to save his hide. But if he could pull off another miracle, I submit to you, he ain't gonna be able to accomplish any of those nefarious schemes and plans he wanted to accomplish or achieve, because we still have guardrails in place. They held back then, they would hold again, I assume. However, the man will most likely be impeached within 30 days of him taking office again. Why? Because he doesn't know any other way to act except as a criminal. There's nobody else in our history that has the criminal background that he possesses now. Nobody. He's a one-man crime spree. His reputation will always be what he's always been, a crook. And I submit to anybody, I believe with all my heart that that man has already sold us out a long time ago when he stole those documents and took them to Mar-a-Lago. Because what other reason would he have to take that volume and all those secret classified documents to Mar-a-Lago? Why? For what? What was he going to do? Just have them sit there as mementos? Trump is a transaction guy. All he wants to do is cut a deal that's going to make him some money. And if you think he hasn't already sold a number of our secrets out, you got to be dreaming, or you're still asleep. The man has sold us out, and the justice system is still sleepwalking and slow rolling on bringing him to justice. When the truth finally comes out, whenever that day is, it could be now, it could be later, it might not be in my lifetime. I don't know. But it's going to come out, because most things always do. And they're going to find that he has compromised millions of people with his traitorous activities. The man is a traitor. There's only one reason why he has so much affinity towards Vladimir Putin. And a lot of people know. It just hasn't been proven. Jack Smith's trying his best until we get something from Judge Chuck in D.C. to not so much Fani Willis in Georgia, because we know what he already did there was interfere with the election with the rest of those criminals that was part of it, along with him, his co-conspirators. The Mar-a-Lago case, man, come on. Come on. As open and shut as you're going to get it on his behind. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes eventually. But there's no doubt in my mind that man has already capitalized off of those secret classified documents a long time ago. You give a coyote like him 2 years to do his thing from the time he took those documents with him, man, it was probably the first day when he got settled into Mar-a-Lago after he got booted out of office. He had already sold us down the river. But there's always some people up in the higher echelons of our intelligence who are Trump supporters. I believe this. They're going to cover. They're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure a lot of his sinister deeds don't see the light of day. And last but not least, why does anybody think that the Fraternal Order of Police would back him up? Criminals tend to associate with other criminals. Law and order. That's what Trump claims that he runs on. Kamala Harris was in law enforcement, former prosecutor, former AG, all that. Trump knows about the law by breaking it. But yet the Fraternal Order of Police is going to stand behind a criminal, a convict, a felon, versus a career prosecutor and a career law enforcement official who is now the vice president. But they believe that Donald Trump's resume, when it comes to the law, far outweighs the credentials that Kamala Harris possesses. Isn't that nutty? It's just insane. It's just crazy. But it just shows you the depths of insanity and lunacy that our country has descended to. It just, like I said, it's mind-boggling. Just completely upside down crazy. But see, this is what I know about Kamala Harris. See, Kamala teaches. Trump leeches. Kamala educates where Trump denigrates. Kamala is coherent. Trump is incoherent. Folks, the choice is so simple. It's not even funny. There's no contest. But a lot of Americans are going to make it that way because of so many different reasons. Racial, gender, ethnicity. Look, if you think Barack Obama was a problem for a big portion of white America, but he was so good at his job, they reelected him for 2 terms. That still sticks in Trump's craw. He can't get over the fact that that black dude, Barack Hussein Obama, the emphasis is always on Hussein, because Trump has a problem with the Muslim faith. Now, he don't mind dealing with those Middle East sand brothers. I ain't gonna say the other word, but like over in Saudi Arabia, where he was him and his family getting that paper. Ask old Kushner about it. He down with them. When you got some money for Trump, he got his hands around your shoulder. Other than that, nah. You know, he tells everybody who's not down with him and ain't got that paper what he thinks of him. So, like I said, the man is transactional. And that's how he rolls. Well, anyway, all I want to say is this, folks. We got about 3 weeks to go and counting. We got to keep on pushing and getting this done because we're trying to keep a snake out of occupying the White House again. And the stakes really couldn't be higher. But Kamala Harris has shown that she was willing to go into the lion's den tonight and take Fox head on. And she devastated them. See, they thought she was going to come in and be a sacrificial lamb. Thought Brett Baird was going to really put it to her and give her the beatdown that they thought she deserved. She made him retract those fangs, sit his butt down, and take a lesson. Partner. It ain't happening because I don't know who you think you're talking to, but you're not talking to an idiot. I got skills, and I'm going to let you see them tonight. So you need to back up, back off. Y'all get y'all stuff together. I came on your show. Question is, when is Trump ever going to go on someplace like MSNBC? She went on Fox. Why don't Trump return the favor and come on MSNBC and talk to maybe Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell, Stephanie Rule, Nicole Wallace, anybody, Joy Reid? It'll never happen. Never happen. Because he's a coward. And just like Kamala said, he's weak, he's incompetent, he ain't gonna do nothing right now. He done backed out of interviews, he done backed out of debates. He knows he don't want to get pinned anymore in any kind of setting that's gonna force him to tell not the truth. He don't want to get caught up in trying to explain those lies of his and put spins on them because it's going to make him look bad. It's going to make him look worse than he already does. He's a poor excuse for a political candidate of any kind. And America, a portion of America, is willing to take a chance on this clown again. They want a repeat of 2016 through 2020. America, if y'all vote this man back in office, you deserve him. Okay, that's all I got to say. Folks, thanks for taking the time to check me out again. And once again, please don't forget to subscribe. I'll be talking to you folks again real soon. And I'm going to bring it the best way I know how. Because, once again, we got to keep having these conversations because I don't know what it's going to take to drum home to some of these people out there that think that this skunk is worthy of consideration for president. Come on, folks. Come on, America. Wake up. I'll talk to you folks later. I hope all y'all have a great evening and a great day. Take care.